Right, Bards. Well, between getting a new chef, World Cup, etc., we're going to try something new, aren't we?
We are indeed.
We're going to try recording on a Sunday.
It's a little bit different, but we'll see how it goes.
Recording in the daylight.
That's it. We could actually give live score updates. It won't be live when they hear them, but... Western Bulldogs 11-5-71, Melbourne 11-5-71.
Well, there you go. Everyone knows what time we recorded this.
That's it.
Okay, well, scores from yesterday.
All right, mate, we had Hawthorn 17-14-116, defeating Gold Coast 10-3-63.
We'll come back to that score because we didn't really think it was going to end up like that probably about halfway through the second quarter. But let's talk about goal kickers, which were down in number.
Yeah, mate, we failed to break our magical 10 mark this week. We only had 9. So, Bruce 3, Hodge 3, Smith 2, Roughhead 2, Lewis 2, Singles 2, Rioli, Burgoyne, Ceglar and Birchall.
And while we're talking about Bruce as our leading goal kicker, are you getting a bit sick of them saying how many he's kicked in a row?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit carried away, isn't it? Like, they're talking like, oh, he won't take a hard shot now. He'll be looking to pass off, or don't he take the easy shots? Like, because if he's going to do that, he doesn't care. If he thinks he'll kick it, he'll have a shot.
It's only really the commentators care, isn't it?
I think they care a lot more than what the players do, that's for sure.
Righto, let's get stuck into the votes, and then we'll get stuck into the game proper.
All right, mate, votes are plenty in a very rugged game early, and then we just ran away. So 5 to Hodge, the old man decided to go forward, as he does every now and then, kicked plenty of goals, got a lot of hard balls. So 5 to Hodge, 4 to Lewis, 3 to the big fella, Jon Ceglar, mate. Another great game from him. He's keeping McAvoy out, which you'll be happy about. Not only did he get a goal, but 37 hit-outs against Zach Smith, who's no hack. He had a great game, especially the conditions. 2 to Shields and 1 to Isaac Smith.
Now, a few good things, Hodgie. Hodgie was a true leader again yesterday, wasn't he?
He was, mate. He stood up when he had to. He's very tough and showed a bit of class too. You know, I think it was their second quarter there where he just sort of threw the big balk out, stepped around, just went back, slotted the goal. Or he got a lucky bounce, but you know, he just has the poise, the right times. You know, doesn't go forward that often. When he does, he gets on the score sheet. So very handy indeed.
Microphones were pretty good on yesterday's match, weren't they?
That's it, bloody gas. That's the bloody gas. And I'll clean that up a bit.
Exactly right.
What's that? No, you blocked him. You blocked him first here. Angle. Oh, that's right. Fucking gas. Go look out for fucking gas.
Well, it's that sort of afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not too happy there, Hodgie, with that call, and I think it was the right one in the end.
He wasn't the only one who said it. I think Ruffy was caught out later on when Bruce was taken out.
That Bruce getting cleaned up there, that bloke was, who I think was Harbour, he was about a couple of millimetres off doing some serious damage in Dean Solomon and Cameron Ling fashion. Very risky behaviour that, and I hope they throw the book at him.
Yeah, Jon Ceglar, doing great, you know, as the president of the Jon Ceglar fan club. He's looking like number one ruckman.
He is, mate. He moves really well. There was one stage there that I was getting really excited by the way he was going, and then he managed to fluff a kick right the way along the ground when he reeled around onto the right foot. But he seems to be an option up forward. as a hit-up sort of target. Like, not so much taking the big mark as you think of a ruckman, but he actually gets on the end of a few leads and gets the ball there. His ruck work, as I said, was good yesterday, and yeah, I'm very impressed with him.
I keep telling you, he reminds me of Paul Salmon, and remember, Paul Salmon was our ruckman of the century.
He was our second ruckman of the century. He was on the bench.
In my mind, he was the ruckman of the
He
century.
was definitely our best tap ruckman ever.
All right, well, who else was good? Sewell played well. Again, it was a Tasmanian game. He always plays well.
He does. Lewis was good. As I said, I gave him plenty of votes. I kicked a couple of goals, but got in the right spaces. Did well against Gaz. Adelaide had 45, a great rate of, I think it was about 50% efficiency. The commentator in the second quarter there was getting excited. Oh, he's had 21 possessions in these conditions. That's amazing. I would have thought in those conditions where there's a stoppage every minute, there's probably be a fair chance he'd get 21 possessions. Hodge was so much more effective on the game and so much more influential than what Ablett was, despite the 45. So we just paid Ablett no respect whatsoever and let him do what he wants, and we know it doesn't really have much bearing on the game.
Hey, our backline stood up pretty well. Suckling, Spangerman, Stratton, the three S's.
Stratton was pretty good for his first game back. I thought he was intercepting marking a bit. Spanger good again. Lake did what he had to do. Obviously, conditions didn't suit the sort of forward line that Gold Coast went in with the three big blokes. But look, the backline just did what they had to do. Littleton did some good things again. And interesting to see Jure down as sub, which I would say would indicate he's the next man out. Littleton and Stratton at the moment are probably the two smaller defenders based on that. And Suckling, obviously, he's there more for drive than for defence. So it's going to be interesting. You know, you've got to get Gibbo in there next, and we'll see what happens from there.
I would have said next man out is Rioli based on that soft tissue injury that I warned you about.
Yes, indeed. There was some thoughts that we might not risk anyone with soft tissue histories in the cold weather, and Rioli did exactly what Rioli does well, and that's pull a hamstring. So I was wondering if we can $6 million man him and give him a synthetic hamstring. Is that possible?
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man.
Not within the next week, no.
At hydraulics.
Maybe in the off-season, but we don't have time to turn that one around within a week.
It's disappointing, but what do you do? He couldn't have been out for any longer. He's been back, played, I think it's 3 games, and played well. He's fit, ready to go. You can't just not play him. I think it's just going to be a fact of life with him from now to the end of his career that you play him, and he's probably going to do a couple of hamstrings a year. It's all well and good to say we'll just play him forward, but no one sits in a forward pocket anymore. So even if he's playing in the forward line, he's still going to get up the ground. He's still going to be running at full speed. So I mean, maybe they can come up with some different exercises, try to strengthen it more so, but I think it's just going to be a fact of life. A bit like Max Bailey's knees, I guess, just not made to withstand the pressure.
Well, exactly right. So we'll just have to manage him through his season. Now, that was a superb effort. To be honest, I think most people thought 30 all, halfway through the second quarter it was going to be a hard slog, and then all of a sudden it was from 30 all to 60-30.
Yeah, 5 goals. Bang, 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 bang. I think we had 5 goals from, 20 possessions or something ridiculous at the end of the second quarter there. So, yeah, he really got the ball going, and you sort of saw that just broke him. Then other than the cheap goals in junk time at the end of the game, it would have been another 70 to a 100-point win somewhere.
The only people that were really concerned about those goals in junk time were the people that were going in our nearest to pin competition.
Yes, it did bring me right back in a calculation, but I think Mr. Wedlock might have been closer.
Yep, again, someone's just jibbed you out by going a couple of points higher.
Unbelievable.
And he was quite happy to tell me that he was the winner of nearest to the pin last night when I saw him. So Adam, you were nearest to the pin. Now, a blast, Bards?
Oh, I don't really have a blast. You know me, I don't like to blast when we're on a winning streak, and no one's really offended me so far this weekend, so we'll let it go.
All right, well, Tonk of the Week. Tonk of the Week was Hamish McLaughlin, and I can say that because I think most people were saying that on all the various Hawthorn forums, but he won it very early in the piece when he started complaining about how bitterly cold it was, and how David Hale was going to be joined by little mates in the form of Hale.
Little cousins, wasn't it, or something stupid?
Toughen up, princess, is all I could say. I used to play in those conditions.
And the other thing, Grant, people are saying they're typical Tasmanian weather, but they forget that Tasmania's pretty dry. There's more rain down where I live in Gippsland than what there is in Launceston during the year. It's typical for it to be cold, but that wet, that's not a real overly, occasional occurrence, is it?
No, you're exactly right, Bards. The average rainfall is higher in Victoria than it is in Tasmania in winter, and it always has been.
That's right. But the cold, you do expect the cold, and it certainly was cold.
So anyway, Hamish McLaughlin, you are our Tonk of the Week, and if you're going to complain like that again, just get Channel 7 to run the footage and stay in the Melbourne studios and dub it over the top like ESPN does with the soccer. Let's get into the game. A Friday night game at Etihad Stadium, and it's a 7:50 start.
I'll be working, but my sister's going in a super box, half a luck. And North Melbourne, how are we going to go here?
Well, who knows which North Melbourne we're going to get. Are we going to get good North Melbourne or bad North Melbourne? We'll probably end up with a really tough one that'll push us to the absolute nth degree.
Yeah, they've got a good record against us. Might have been a losing record. They've got a good record of being able to push us the last couple of years, but I don't think it matters which North comes. I think we beat them. It's just a matter of margin, depending on who turns up.
All right, well, nearest to the pin then.
4!
I'll go relatively conservatively and just go with 30 points.
All right, well, I'm going to stick with my
4!
17.
No worries there. And will we get Sam Mitchell back?
I don't think so, Bards.
I think maybe the surface of Etihad might be a good enough reason to keep him back for another week before you send him to Adelaide.
I'm not sure we send him to Adelaide either.
He's pretty close to playing. I think that Adelaide game where Vic can play, I think he needs to play. These games, especially these two, North Melbourne and Adelaide, which are games we should win, we've got to make sure we win. We can't take any risks here because, the game in Freo is going to be tough. We know we struggle against Geelong. We should beat them every time, but we've got them to play as well. Sydney and Melbourne, so it's important games, and we've got to make sure we win the ones that we're outright favourites in, and then hopefully, 2 out of 3 of the other 3, and we'll be laughing.
Exactly right. We have the hardest draw of all the top 4 teams going into the finals, so we can't really afford to drop anything, can we? We also can't afford to get any injuries through this period.
No, that's it. The best thing about our injuries that we've had so far is we've managed to build depth. We've got a Hallahan, Langford, Cheney, these blokes that are going to be sitting at Box Hill now just waiting for an opportunity. So, we lose one, we've got one to come back in, but hopefully, we get Mitchell back, we get Gibson back in about another, probably after the split round, I'd say he'll be looking to come back, and we should be firing on all cylinders once we always right.
All right, Buzz, so people know how long it took us to record this program, give us a live score update.
Okay, mate, the current score is, it's still a draw, Bulldogs 13-7-85, Melbourne 13-7-85.
All right, well, on that note, we're off to the football on Friday night, so go Hawks.
Hawks.